Okay, here we go. Well, it's been fun. We creationists have been questioning evolution. I've been questioning it for over 50 years since I was a kid. Reading about evolution and the claims of evolution and not being able to question or ask questions about it as to the validity of evolution. So now we're in the age of the internet. Hello, Christian Carpenter. Good morning. Hope you're having a good Saturday. Yes, I'm having an excellent Saturday. Thank you. Um, so now we're in the age of the internet where we have access to all the information. Hello, Doki Doki. How are you doing? Good morning. And we can actually email scientists. We can ask question scientists, which I plan to do again because I've done it before. But um, so what do the evolutionists have? What's the basis for their claims of evolution? Do they have anything at all? Um, my answer would be no. They don't have anything at all. So what's their claim? They have what they call a fossil record. The fossil record doesn't show evolution. The fossil record shows the Cambrian explosion. Boom. Suddenly, life forms, thousands of life forms all over the place, in an instant, totally unrelated to each other. The fossil record shows, boom, penguins. Penguins fully formed from the beginning, and only a lot of these fossils are gigantic. Some of them not, but a lot of them are huge, all different sizes, and no precursor to the penguin, where the fossil records show. Monkeys, no precursor to the monkey. The fossil record shows apes, no precursor to the ape, no in between. The fossil record shows humans totally separate, completely and entirely separate from the rest of the animal kingdom. That's what the fossil record shows. Besides that, people don't even know what the fossil record is. It's five or more mega sequences, one stacked on top of the other, all water deposited sediment layers, together miles deep. Of course, there was erosion off the top when there was runoff, after there was runoff. And then the soils developed on top of all the sediment layers because there's no soil layers anywhere in between the mega sequences or anywhere in the mega sequences. And how much of the mega sequences do we have left? Well, if you ask AI, it doesn't know the difference between igneous rock and sediment layers, so it says trillions. So somebody has to fix that. But the truth is that there's between over 100 million miles, cubic miles, 100 million cubic miles to some say 200 million cubic miles, or used to be maybe, of water deposited sediment layers around the earth. I got a quote one time I got a quote from a geologist that was 130 some million cubic miles. hundred. Wait, what? Not million. What was it? 100? Yeah, million. I think it's million. 100 million cubic miles is what it is. Over 130 million cubic miles of water deposited sediment layers with no erosion in between the layers, little, very little, and no sediment formation, no soil formation between the layers. So that's 100 million plus cubic miles of water deposited sediment layers that happened, all at one event before life could recuperate on top of the sediment layers, which is another thing. The pyramids are on top of the sediment layers. Every megalith is on top of the sediment layers, unless it's on igneous rock or something. But of course, the igneous rock would have been totally, um, you know, disfigured. It wouldn't be straight up and down. It wouldn't have straight up and down buildings on top of igneous rock. If it was from before the global flood. The problem is that they're straight up and down, so it's probably after the global flood. So, what does evolution have in its favor? DNA. Well, DNA separates everything because in order for every physical thing, every biological organism to be different, it has to have different information. If it suddenly appears with the information that it had given to it, because it can't give itself its own information, which is the big elephant in the room. Is that how in the world did you get the information in the first place? Which is why they try to separate abiogenesis from evolution. They say, oh well, evolution isn't abiogenesis. Well, they both have the same problem. Abiogenesis can't get information that's not there. Evolution can't get information that's not there either. So you still have the same problem as abiogenesis. So it's useless to try to separate abiogenesis from evolution because both require vast amounts, billions of bits of written programming that's not there. So it's total nonsense to begin with. So what does evolution have? What evidence for evolution is there? There is no evidence of evolution. It's all somebody's imagination. Darwin's imagination and people before him, their imagination, because they didn't want to believe in a creator. So they're trying to figure out a possibility, trying to think of a possibility where you don't need a creator. But they failed from the beginning because nothing can make itself, nothing can order itself, nothing can direct itself. And now we know that energy can't even make itself or order itself. Energy has to come from a greater amount of energy, and an infinite regress of energy, physical energy, is nonsensical. So energy that's ordered in the universe, going from order to disorder, has to be created. It's just so obvious. It's so obvious and clear. But anyways, the evolutionists don't have anything. Evolution has nothing. There's David. Hello. Good morning. Shabbat Shalom. David. So, yeah, they have nothing. What do they have? What does evolution have? Well, they have a claim. It's called an out of Africa claim. And in order to prove their out of Africa claim, they have these S&P markers to tie the three groups of three families together, the three Y chromosome lineages together, they have these SNP markers that tie them together. So where is it? How is it possible? Maybe now evolution has a cut and dry case. They never had any evidence before. He's still still don't have evidence, but they have this claim of an S&P marker of you know people gaining the marker and retaining the marker, showing a tie, a link between the three groups. Actually, their claim is that one group came from the other, which is total nonsense because it doesn't have to be one group coming from the other. They could share a marker from the same common ancestor, which is a possibility because the markers are gained and lost all the time, which is another thing, is how do they know the markers being gained when A, B, and C are the odd ones out, and D and E, they're the odd ones out compared to the rest of the world. How can they be so sure that there's a marker being gained that's being shared by the rest of the world, supposedly showing successive generations? How do they know it's being gained? How do they know it's not the other way around? How do they know that the S&P's marker is not lost to the odd ones out, which is A, B, C, and D, or A, B, and D and E actually, because C retains a marker with the rest of the world, the entire world, the Semitic populations, the Eurasian population. C, which is a Hamitic Y chromosome, has a marker, the same marker as the F populations and the K populations, which is the Semitic populations and the Eurasian population. The Eurasians. So, how do they know that marker is not being lost to the odd ones out, especially when the Hamitic population is the youngest population? It's the less original, youngest Y chromosome lineage. So it's not even showing a succession out of Africa to begin with, because the Hamitic population is the youngest, clearly the youngest Y chromosome lineage, less original, the youngest, less original Y chromosome. So, for all intents and purposes, it's the exact opposite of the out of Africa claim. Instead of gaining a marker going from left to right as they have it, they're losing markers going from right to left, showing the exact opposite of the out of Africa claim, which would be the out of Asia claim, or out of the Middle East claim, or where the ark landed claim, or actually known human history to begin with. So that's not supporting evolution either. I mean, they want it to support evolution, but it doesn't, because history doesn't support it, and markers are being gained and lost just as easily. So you can't make the claim out of Africa claim that is showing descendancy, because descendancy is nonsense to begin with. Because the number of mutations is not showing an accurate representation of age. They want to say that the number of mutations in the Hamitic populations or African populations is showing age. But what about C? C is showing the same number of mutations as the rest of the world, basically. Maybe a little bit more. I mean, depending on what the actual evidence is, facts are. But the C is definitely not nearly as much as the A and the B. as far as genetic distance is concerned and mutations. So that's a mistake. So you can't use genetic distance as an indicator of age. So from known human history, the Hamitic population is the youngest. The oldest one is the Eurasian Y chromosome lineage, which is the most original, oldest Y chromosome lineage. Of course, they're all about the same age anyway. And then the links happen to be, just happen to be, with, like, for example, the oldest of the Semitic descendants, which would be Arpachshad, we know, but it's the IJ. So the oldest descendant, Semitic descendant, that's linked to the Eurasian descendants is the IJ, which shares a marker called the IJK. So the IJK is an SNP marker that links the Semitic population with the Eurasian population because the IJ is the oldest Semitic lineage. That's why his other brothers don't share that IJK SNP marker. So it's possible, and I verified it with AI, it's possible for the IJ to share a marker with the IJK marker with his older uncle Japheth. And as a matter of fact, when I asked the AI, I was using the names. I said, can Shem's oldest son, Arpachshad, share a marker with his uncle Japheth? And of course, the the AI said said yes, agreed with me, yes. So then I went to the link between the Hamitic population and the Semitic population that links the two lineages together, the Y chromosome lineages, with an SNP marker called the CF. Now, the CF is different from the CT because the CT includes the D and the E, but the CF doesn't include the D and the E. The CF is just C and F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, and T. So I asked the AI, I said, well, using the names again, and the AI had no problem understanding who I was talking about or what I was talking about. So I asked, I said, can Nimrod, being the oldest son of Cush, who is the oldest son of Ham, share a marker with his two great uncles, Shem and Japheth? And AI agreed again. AI agreed with me once again. Yes, the Nimrod descendants, the Y chromosome descendants of Nimrod, which is C, they can share a marker with Nimrod's great uncles, Shem and Japheth. So AI agreed with me again. So boom. A and B are the odd ones out. Those are the ones that lost the more original marker that is shared by the Eurasians, the Semitic populations, and Nimrod. Of course, Nimrod was in Eurasia as well. His descendants never went to Africa. Descendants of Nimrod went to Europe. They're found in Europe. Of course, the Middle East, Mesopotamia, all throughout Asia, Mongolia, and all the way to the Americas and Australia and the Pacific. So you have an interesting thing that the Olmecs look Polynesian because they share the same common ancestor Nimrod as the Polynesians, because the Polynesians have a C2 Y haplogroup, and the in America, the Native Americans in America have a C3 Y chromosome, which came through Mongolia and all the way up through Alaska and everywhere. But anyways, yes, it is true that the S&P markers do not support evolution. In fact, they verify who the oldest son of Shem is, the IJ, which is J2, which is J1, the Cohen modal haplotype, which is J2, the Judaic population, which is also I, which is the Danite population in the Mediterranean all the way up through Europe, in the Danube, Sardinia, and Denmark. All those names and places were from the descendants of Dan, who is a son of Jacob, who is descended from Arpachshad, the, their father, like their father Abraham. So it verifies Arpachshad, the oldest son of Shem, being the oldest son of Shem, because he shares an S&P marker with his uncle Japheth that his younger brothers do not share. That means when Shem gave birth to his Arpachshad's younger brothers, they no longer had the S&P marker in common with their uncle Japheth. But Arpachshad, of course, retained the marker because he was older. Same thing with Nimrod. He retained the CF marker, which is also retained by all the Y descendants of his great uncles Shem and Japheth, which AI confirmed it when I asked the question. Anyway, so evolution loses once again. They lost out with the S&P markers. Does not prove evolution. Does not prove out of Africa. In fact, it confirms known human history. Known human history of the existence of Nimrod and the existence of Arphaxad or Arpachshad, the son of Shem, the firstborn son of Shem. And of course, the birth order is Japheth is the oldest, Shem is the second, and Ham is the youngest son of Noah. So everything is borne out, everything checks out with the creationist point of view, and evolutionists are left with nothing again. They can't get any genetic information that's not there. They tried to prove an out of Africa by way of the S&P markers, and they failed at that. So what else do they have? Nothing. Nothing. Evolutionists have nothing. How about atheists? What can atheists tell you? Nothing. Atheists can't tell you anything because atheism isn't even a position. It's a negative. A negative isn't a position. It's a negative claim isn't a positive position. So atheism can't tell you nothing. Evolution is a positive claim, but it fails every single time. That's why I say evolution, every claim of evolution is always disproved. And sometimes people say, what? Yes. Every claim of evolution is always disproved because evolution doesn't even exist. And when people say, "Oh, you don't understand evolution," well, I can't understand something that doesn't exist. I can't understand it's something that's illogical and nonsense. I can't understand it because it doesn't. It's not understandable because it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. You can only understand something that is factual, truthful, which is known human history of every ancient civilization existing today being the descendants of the grandsons of Noah. And it's so clear and obvious that anybody with any little bit of known history knows about the Assyrians, the Elamites, the Canaanites, the Cushites. All these people are the original ancestors, are the original grandsons of Noah. Asher of the Assyrians, a grandson of Noah. Elam of the Elamites, a grandson of Noah. Cush of the Cushites, a grandson of Noah. Canaan of the Canaanites, a grandson of Noah. Mitzrayim, or Egypt, of the Egyptians, a grandson of Noah. On and on and on and on. Tiraz of the Thracians, a grandson of Noah. The Thracians, for crying, Thracians are a known Greek civilization. Gomer is known in Europe, a grandson of Noah. So Tubal was known to be the original population that settled in Italy, and to this day, a grandson of Noah, the descendants of the grandson of Noah, Tubal, are still in Italy to this day, with 8% of the population of central Italy having a K Japetite Y chromosome, and just on and on. So we have all the evidence on our side. It's a great day to be creationist. We have all the evidence. We have truth on our side. We have history on our side. We have genetics on our side. We have everything on our side proving the existence of a creator without a doubt. We have science on our side. Energy can't make itself. It can't direct itself, order itself. Science is on our side. Biology is on our side. Geology is on our side. Archaeology is on our side, which is a total whole nother topic, archaeology, confirming specific things the Bible says almost on a daily basis, with all the archaeology being done in Israel and the Middle East and all over, confirming everything. So, and the people everywhere in the world have the same Y haplogroups as the descendants of the grandsons of Noah. Madai is a grandson of Noah. His descendants are the Medes. The Medes are descended from Madai. That's why they call them Medes. And his Y chromosome, the QY chromosome, is in Europe, where the Medes were in Europe, exact same place, along with the the X and the WY chromosome. I mean, mitochondrial DNA. So you have the X and the W mitochondrial DNA that accompanies the Medes where they were in Europe, because Madai asked to marry one of Shem's daughters. So there's a Eurasian Semitic mitochondrial DNA lineage all the way through Asia, all the way to America, even in Europe with the X and the W, to this day, where the Medes were. And of course, they went all the way to America, and the same in lineage, in Semitic lineage, goes all the way to America, and it's labeled A. Then there's another B mitochondrial lineage in America. It's labeled B, but that is Semitic, but it's the other R lineage. It's the R Semitic lineage that's in America. It went another route by way of another route, probably by the Pacific, to America. But when they named the mitochondrial DNA in America, they started with A, B, C, and D. The A and the B are both Semitic. The C and the D is Eurasian mitochondrial DNA. And 95% of Europeans have a Semitic mitochondrial lineage. 95% of Europeans. Very few people have an Asiatic mitochondrial DNA. Anyway, evolution is just left with nothing. I just had to make that point, and hope everybody's blessed. God bless everybody, and stay with the truth, absolute truth, and stay with the Creator, who is also our Savior. So God bless. Take care.